Your partner in crime, Jules, wrote a very interesting article earlier on ESPN FC about Neymar. Apparently, Neymar is now ready to pledge his future to PSG. I wonder what you make of this, given it seems to be a complete 180 from Neymar.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't read too much into it. It's pretty much physiological, right? If you have a player under contract who you think is very good, who you want to keep, and you have... the moment you start to go and talk a new deal is when he's got 2.5 to 2 years left on his contract. So I think this is entirely normal. It's entirely normal from Neymar's perspective as well. It may well be that he's ready to end his career at the Parc des Princes. I genuinely don't know, but it's pretty normal. It's not surprising that Paris Saint-Germain aren't going to let him run his contract down. So obviously it's in both parties' interest to sit down and talk about, and maybe even lay down markers and numbers so that if anybody's interested, they know how much they got to shell out.
But is it normal, guys, given that he did everything humanely possible to get out of PSG this past summer?
Well, from both perspectives, it would be a 180 from both sides. When you consider that there was the upper brass of PSG coming out and saying, this is not the way that we want to run our club. This is not the way that we want to treat our star players. We can't just depend on one guy. It can't be the story about one single player. Neymar has to respect the club. Almost as if to say, look, we're moving past Neymar. And now we're saying, well, we're moving past Neymar-ish. Because there's a pathway by which we could bring him back and he could be part of the PSG for a long term. And so when you consider that you've taken that position as a club, you almost corner yourself into moving away from Neymar and going in a different direction. And now you've shifted gears, apparently, and then going into a whole entirely different direction. Right. I'm not quite sure as to what PSG is trying to get to. And you cut your options short when you came out and said that to begin with.
But at the same time, listen, nothing happens in a vacuum here. And the club offering Mbappe a new contract by all accounts, and he seems a little bit resistant in signing that. And you just wonder if this is the opening of the door for Kylian Mbappe to finally join Real Madrid, and all the speculation that comes therein, which means maybe Neymar sees himself again as the king of Paris. Listen, I totally agree with Ali here. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense given what played out last summer. At the same time, and I know Gab is taking exception to this, listen, you understand the club making an offer, but if you don't see Neymar as being there for the long term, and given the contract that he's on, given the amount that you pay him, before you start making those kind of moves behind the scenes, shouldn't you again sound out Barcelona's own continued interest? If it's still there, new manager, but still the same president, maybe that interest is what gets you out of jail if Neymar being on your books is in jail.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.